Welcome to my dinner break at work. Hey girls, it is Monday and I am here at work and things have gotten a little busy. So I am on my break, tucked away in an editing room, talking to you guys and waiting to be mortified. This week's topic is my topic, and it was inspired by a documentary that I saw on Netflix called Mortified. And it's based off of a group of people across the nation who put on these shows called Mortified Nation. And in a nutshell, it's people getting up on stage and reading their diaries from when they were like 12 to 16 years old and just revealing these like deep down things that they would never have revealed when they were teenagers and just sharing some of their deepest and darkest mortified moments. So, my challenge to all the girls is to do the very similar thing. However, I don't have any diaries from that age. However, I have the next best thing. I have Nsync fan fiction. Yeah. I wrote some Nsync fan fiction when I was about 15 years old, which isn't too young, so the writing isn't like extremely terrible, but it is in a Picacho Sanrio notebook, and it is done with neon gel pens of many different colors that make it very hard to read the actual thing. It is about 60 some odd pages long, and though it does not involve me specifically, it does involve my uber crush at the time, which was JC Chazé. And I had created an entire world about him and his wife, Miranda, and they had twins that they had just had. And a lot of the other guys also have wives, and some of them have babies in it. And it's during the height of their popularity. They had just released No Strings Attached, and they were going on tour to a place called Atlantis, which is in the Bahamas, and chaos ensues. Yes, JC and Miranda are married and they have their twins, and their twins were premature, which means that they have some underlying medical problems. And during the first couple months that they are alive, JC kind of starts to get distant. And Miranda is really upset by this because she doesn't understand why JC's being really distant. And come to find out that he is helping his sister, who is in an abusive relationship, and he's helping her hide. And he can't tell anyone that he's helping her because it may put her in danger. So I'm going to set the story up for you from where I am at. JC, or one of JC's twins, has just had to enter the hospital because of a rare lung disease. And he knows nothing about it because he's out trying to help his sister. And Miranda is all alone at the hospital, and she's very pissed because she cannot get a hold of her husband and the father of her children. And so JC has just found out what has happened and is very depressed and is at a bar. And that is where we pick up. Well, let me find the page real fast. Okay. Airline, bar, Washington, D.C. JC's head was down on the bar. He'd been there for over 3 hours. Hey, dude, don't you say that you had a plane to catch? The bartender says. Wait, oh, yeah, plane? JC was obviously drunk. Plane, where am I going? Dude, you're drunk. Maybe you should get a taxi to take you to the airport. Which doesn't make sense because he's already at the airport. Huh? Okay. All of a sudden, a young girl about 19 walks over. Aren't you JC Chazé from Nsync? I thought you'd be in Los Angeles getting ready for the American Music Awards. Oh, yeah. Los Angeles? American Music Awards? 9 hours later. I shouldn't have had that last drink, JC moans, and then flips open his cell phone. Notice he flips it open? This was 2001 when I wrote this. Sasha, honey, I need my clothes for the AMAs, and if you wouldn't mind, a limo. I'm at the airport. He closes his cell phone. He looks down, remembering he had left his cell phone at home, and this wasn't his, but his sister Heather's. 3 hours later. JC was all dressed up and in his limo going to the awards ceremony. He was still slinging back shots of tequila when he arrived at the red carpet. The door flung open and JC emerged from the limo, bulbs flashing all around him, and he stepped back a little from dizziness. JC, why didn't you arrive with the rest of Nsync? How are your kids? Where is your wife? Why isn't she attending? The questions were flying at him from every reporter on the red carpet. JC's world was spinning around and around, and before he knew it, it went black, and he landed with a thud. JC awoke in a place he knew all too well, but this time he was in a different role. He was the one in the hospital instead of his children. Oh God, my children! He struggled to a sitting position. Reagan, I need to get to Reagan. Whoa, calm down, Mike, his security guard, said, coming over and pushing him back into a laying position. What happened? Where is Miranda? JC screamed. Well, Miranda's in Chicago with your parents, Kelly, Lance, and the twins, and I don't think you want to know what happened, Mike says. At that moment, Mackenzie walked in the door. You better be careful. You better be thankful, Mr. Chazé, that not only am I busy keeping Reagan's sickness low-key, but now I have to save your butt for this whole alcohol scene. Mackenzie's his publicist. Thank God Chris and Justin got there right after you and made it look like you were just tired. Alcohol? JC questioned. Yes, next time you decide to get drunk. Her volume increased with each word. Make sure it's not right before a nationally televised awards ceremony. And she stormed out of the room. Okay, Mike, what happened? JC said. So I would read you more, but it's a really, really long book, and sadly, I never finished it. So this was written sometime between 2001 when I was 15 years old. If any of you girls want to read this gem, I will be more than happy to mail it to you. It took me about 45 minutes to read the whole thing, and it is quite interesting. So I cannot wait to hear the rest of what everyone else has planned, and hopefully the rest of this week calms down a little bit, and I don't have to make my next video in an editing bay at work. Bye.